Exam. The exam. Let me see, I think I should go into CampusNet now. I just last night made a trial exam for you, such that you can see how it's gonna work. It's gonna be, I made this one and you can just try. When you, let me, go away. Let me go to the English, if it works. Yep. You can click this one and try it. Don't worry, it's not going to be used for anything. So this is there for you just to get used to the digitally given exam as it will be. There will be, and it will look like this. Not like this. It will look like this. It will tell you something on the front page. Let me just dwell on that, because that's the practical information that you need to know about. There's going to be PDFs uploaded, UK and DK versions, and then it's going to be some online multiple choice for you to click out. But here's the rules. There will be 30 questions. There's only one correct for each question. Even though the system allows you to do multiple, you cannot do... You cannot just mark them all 5 and then think you're okay, right? You can only mark 1 there to be taken as a real guess. If you mark more than 1, it's like a don't know. If you don't mark anything, it's like a don't know. A don't know means 0 points. If you get it correctly, we count it 5. If you get it wrongly, we count it -1. So you get a bit of favor of randomness here if you want to compute it. You have a positive mean here. But it depends on your risk aversion level, what you want to do here. I would never leave a room without having answered all 30 questions myself, but that's a personal issue. Then, the way it will look, the way it will look is that you will have the link to the PDFs of the exam here. For instance, this is the August version, I hope. Yeah, it is. The August version. So you can look at that in your browser. Let's take that away. Let's take that away. And then you can click here. Now this one is actually closed for me because I tried it yesterday, so... Yeah, I already failed this one. Then you can click those questions. Those are dummy questions that you have. Please go and check such that you don't spend energy and time to be confused on the day, right? Please be sure you know what's going to take, how it's going to happen, such that you can spend all your energy doing what you should do on the day. So you read the questions in the exam as you have seen it, and then you just click the right answers on those dummy questions. There are no actually content in this multiple choice. And it's made like a 3-page thing. So you have the first 10, the second 10, and yeah, it's closed for me. I cannot do it now. You have the second 10, and you have the last 10. I would recommend you. We have to admit that we have had challenges historically with this electronic stuff exam thing, and I'm not very happy about that, and I'm definitely not very proud about that on behalf of DTU as a technical university in Denmark. But I would, when I sit there, I would think of myself, and I would make sure maybe to save. It should be auto-save. We've seen problems historically with IT guys setting some options somewhere that no one thought about. I would save many times. I might even myself use the front page or take a piece of paper. You don't have the front page, I'm sorry. But you would take just a piece of paper and write down the answers as you go along as a double safety check to make sure you are not hit by some stupid thing that could happen IT-wise, right? I'm not proud to have to say that I would do that, but I would do that. Question? It's electronic, as I show you. This is the way it's going to look for you. Yeah, but the real one will look like that. You're not getting a piece of paper. You get the access here, so you have a local access. You don't have internet access. You have a local access to the local network, such that you in the front. The first one will then give the PDFs. We will upload the PDFs, Danish version and a UK version. Both will be there, exact copies of each other, apart from the language. When you click that, you get it like this, and you browse, you use it like that, and you mark the questions in the CampusNet multiple choice framework. This is just a PDF for you to read, not to do anything with, but reading. That's how it goes. Any questions on that practical part? Please? No, but very rapidly after. Because we do our own evaluation and scoring of things, and there is a process of looking at what's going on, looking at, are some exercises were they actually more difficult than we expected and things like that? Did we ask in the right way? So we allow ourselves to do an overall evaluation of things. But it will be very rapidly. You're up on Sunday, and I'm sure before the end of the week, before Christmas, you will have the grades. If none of us are sort of hit by lightning or something, that's going to happen, right? Question is, will the correct answers be shared with you? Yes, I usually share that on the day. Question?
Will you have a question hour before the exam?
The plan is to arrange, as I announced, something with the TAs. We are just awaiting the final approval of using of the hours, and then you will get the announcements. That's the plan, at least. I sincerely hope that I will be able to give you what I already told you I would give you. But time is tough on salary hours these days at our department, so we suddenly ran into a little discussion somewhere. I hope it'll be solved very rapidly. Any other questions? Why don't we just have a little look then on what kind of exams you could have? I hope you realize that there are a lot of other old exams on the website you can use for practicing or getting ready for the exam. I would encourage that. I strongly encourage to start with the newest ones, working your way back. Definitely the newest ones are those that are most representative of what you can experience on the 13th. It looks like this, for instance, brick factory. Let's just spend the last 15 minutes talking about a few of these exercises here, looking at how it can look. All of the quizzes that you have been using throughout the course are previous exam questions, right? So all of these quizzes are of the same type and structure, like you can also meet. So if you did all that stuff, and both in the exercises and the quiz part, you already practiced a lot for the exam. That's the idea of it, right? Can we solve this one? Brick factory produces bricks whose length can be assumed normally distributed with mean 228, standard deviation 4. Now the factory wants to give 95% guarantee for the individual length of a brick. Which of the following statements are the correct one? What's the tool? If you think in terms of my overall, is it basic stats, is it probability, Or is it real stats? Where's the data for real stats analysis here? There is no data. Then it's probably probability, right? So we're in probability chapter here. So it's a normal probability exercise. Actually, and I think now I didn't load it where I could write, but to me, I just spent a few minutes before starting up this morning. Can you see that? You're asked to find an interval that contains 95% of what's going on. I would say it's the two normal quantiles using the right mean and the right standard deviation, which was given to us to be 4, right? So if I use the Q norm on that distribution, I get the information about $228 plus minus 4 twice, that's 236, 220 roughly. Maybe I didn't even have to use the Q norm to actually know this, right? That's what we know. Plus minus twice the standard deviation includes approximately 95%. That's we already would have that in our minds if we remember what we were taught. The exact computation of that is this one, right? Where I plug in 2.5% and 97.5% in the Q norm function. That gives me those two numbers using the 1.96 and not the 2, right? So it's 220 to 236. Do we have that as a part of the options? Number 3, right? That's the correct answer. Question?
Isn't it just the mean plus minus 1.96 multiplied by the standard deviation? Like, save yourself 5 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems like crossing the river for water.
I just want to have the right amount of water in my bucket, right? But you're right. I mean, that's also just what I did here on my. If I had done this sketch first, I do exactly what you say. The mean plus minus twice the standard deviation. And having done that and looking down on the different possible questions, I was finished. I wouldn't have to go to R this time. Now, maybe I didn't check the possible solutions. Maybe they needed me to be exact. So before I look at the options, I wouldn't know. So to be 100% exact here, I should use the 1.96, and now this time I just use it within R. So, but in a way, you are right, of course. This one we know, because we did the Q norm on this one many times previously. Let's look at the next one. Now something that might look a bit stats-like comes in. That's also not too uncommon in such exercises like this one. At the brake factory, random sample of not only a single brake but now 50 brakes is taken. And we calculate the average length. And if we forgot what the average length was, it is recapped to us. Friendly step by the guy who made the exam to make you remember, using the capital X notation to let you remember that sometimes it's useful to think of those means as random variables when we are talking about statistical properties of these things. That is what we do. Because now the question comes, what is the probability that the average of the observed lengths is within a certain range? What should we do to answer that question? Now we just have some numbers there, so it's difficult to know from numbers what might be reasonable or not, right? So maybe we have to find the answer, and hopefully it matches one of the numbers, right? What would you do? Any suggestions? You need the probability. What was the numbers again? Do you remember? 277 to 2. 222 to 292. 227 to 229. X bar. This is the probability we need to find. How can we find this probability? A probability for X bar. We need the distribution of X bar to find that probability. How can we find the distribution of X bar? We need the mean of X bar, and we need the variance of X bar. Right? What's the mean of X bar? The same as the mean of the original ones. What's the variance of X bar? It's the variance of the original ones over n. Right? So we use this variance rule, or we read off. It's even stated as a theorem somewhere that the variance of an average is the original variance divided by the n. Right? We've talked about that a number of times. So, having done that, we're actually ready now to, I believe, to find the probability in R. Right? So we don't have to do more hand math if we want. If we can deal with the R functions, I calculate the probability of being to the left of 229 with a mean of 228 and with the standard deviation, which is the root of this 16 over 50 that I just realized was the variance. So we needed to realize, that's the core step here, that this is the right standard deviation to use here. Right? Otherwise we would have been lost. And then I subtract the probability of being to the left of 227, and I have the in-between interval between 227 and 229. The number is 0.9229. And then we hope it's 5, right? Let us just scroll through. We have just a few minutes. Let's maybe look at this one. I'm not going to read all the text. It's about I love you concept from insurance companies. Sounds nice in a way. There is something that is set to be, the log values are set to be normally distributed here. We are given some information from R, mean, variance, standard deviation, for this log transform data, for instance. Find the 90% confidence interval for the variance. Do you remember how to find confidence intervals for the variance? We'll need to go to chapter 4, the one sample chapter, to see that this is actually quite an easy question if you find the right formula in the e-notes, because basically the right formula is explicitly this one. N minus 1 times the variance divided by a chi-square percentile. n minus 1 times the variance divided by another percentile. Of course, you need to know what those percentiles are. And you would have to go into R and find those percentiles that is to be used. The chi-square distribution, the 95 and the 5% percentiles, with the right degrees of freedom. If you find that you need those, and then you're done here, right? And you saved a bit of minutes out of the average of 8 minutes you have for each question here. Feel free to interrupt and ask any kind of question. We're done in 3 minutes. I'll run around the rooms also to hear if anyone would have something they'd like to chat with me about. Let me see if there is anything else here that... At least you'll see this, that there could be a combination of showing you some R output. Actually, yeah, let's just finish off with this one. Now we estimate whether those I love you calls from your insurance company has an effect on you. To do this, we must compare before premium with the after premium for customers. Before and after for customers. Then we are given some R code. Different sets of R code. X and Y are the before and after. We already here are told that on average these are different with 0.2637. Then a Welch 2-sample t-test is made to us. But hey, that's not the only thing. Actually also a t-test only on the x's, testing whether mu would be equal to the mean of the y's. 1-sample t-test, or just the 1-sample t-test on the x's, testing something else, testing the 0 actually by default, as one would know if we've worked with these R procedures, or testing, compare the x and y with the option paired equal to true. Now all sorts of different things which may or may not make good sense given the data, right? That's what you can also experience. That you're given both something that could be okay and something that would not be okay. So it's a methodological decision, because now the question comes, what is the answer? Whether these calls have an effect, or is there a difference between the two means here? Test and use the alpha level of 5% as usual. Now you can read off a lot of hypothesis tests on those, and you need to read off the right one, right? You need to know which one to read off. Which one would you think to read off here? Did you follow it? Which one would you read off? Is it a pair or is it an, sorry, would you have an idea?
Pair, because you phrased it as a before premium and after premium.
Yeah.
And it was the same customers.
I agree. I would be a pretty nasty exercise maker if I so explicitly use terms that I've used in exemplifying the paired setting and then disguised an unpaired setting into those words. That would have been nasty. And usually I'm in a good mood when I do exam things. I'm not trying to. Actually, for me, I would be happy if all of you, I mean, with my heart, I would be happy to give you 12, all of you. But then, hey, someone would kill me if that's not the right decision to make. So I would be happy. You're right. We read off the paired test, and all the others are not the right ones to read off for all sorts of different reasons, because they don't answer the question that we ask. The p-value is, in this paired one, is around 10-11%. So the correct answer is no, there is no significant effect, because the relevant p-value is 11%, which is, all the words are not there, which is larger than the 5% level we were asked to use. So we have a non-significant result. So that's the conclusion, right? Typical exercise also, typical exam question. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Good luck. I really sincerely hope the best for you. And enjoy the rest of your lives with stats.